The sound hit before the words did a sharp ping that cut through the hum of my kitchen. I looked down, and there it was, a group message titled Family. We think it's best if you take a step back for now. My parents' names glowed at the top. A second later, Aunt Carol reacted with a thumbs up, neat and final-like punctuation on an execution. The microwave beeped behind me, but I couldn't taste the dinner anymore. I typed one line, steady hands, steady breath. Understood. I'll step away from the family fund, too. I didn't know then that message would bankrupt more than their accounts. 5 years earlier, my father called from a parking lot outside a pharmacy. Rain hammered the roof so hard it sounded like panic. "They won't admit your sister without insurance," he said, voice trembling. "She's not going to make it." I was 27, still saving for graduate school, still believing family meant safety. I opened my laptop, logged into my account, and drained every dollar I had. When Megan pulled through, they called it a miracle. No one said my name. After that, the requests came quietly, texts that began with love and ended with numbers. Just until Friday, only this month. Your mother's insulin. Each one wrapped in gratitude that evaporated once the crisis passed. I learned to move money faster than I moved feelings. When Dad's hours were cut, I added him to my bill reminders. When Mom's prescriptions doubled, I linked her pharmacy account to mine. When Megan's car broke down, I found a repair shop that accepted online transfers. They called it the Family Fund. I called it structure. I thought if everything had a column and a deadline, I could manage the chaos. Every Friday night, I balanced it: payments, co-pays, overdrafts. My reward was silence, the kind that feels like approval if you listen long enough. At first, it felt noble. I was the reliable one, the quiet one who kept the lights on. But slowly, reliability became invisibility. One Christmas, Megan got new tires. I got a thanks for handling it. When Mom's birthday came, she posted a photo of the cake and captioned it, "Family First." I was in the photo, blurred behind the candles, holding the knife. I told myself this was love, that real love was service, not spotlight, that family doesn't keep score. But I did. Quietly. I started saving screenshots, receipts, transaction notes, not out of spite, but proof that I hadn't imagined the imbalance. Adrian once teased, "You treat your family like clients who never pay their invoices." I laughed, but something in me cracked, because he was right. I was the unpaid accountant of their peace. The night I realized it, I was adjusting a spreadsheet named Family Fund 2020. The cursor blinked beside the words, "Heart Balance." It should have been a joke, but it wasn't. It was the truest label I'd ever written. Still, I kept going. Every emergency found me. Every silence confirmed my place. I didn't ask for help, didn't want thanks. I just wanted balance numbers that matched promises. Then one evening, Dad said almost kindly, "Maybe you should take a step back, Val." It sounded harmless, almost caring, but the way he said step back, like it was an instruction, not advice, left a chill. I didn't know it then, but those 2 words would come back wrapped in blue light in a group message that ended everything. It started small, the way rot always does. Megan's name began to replace mine in family stories. When Mom talked to friends, she said, "Megan's doing so well, she's finding herself again." If I was mentioned, it was logistical. "Valentina's busy. She handles the bills." That was my role, a background function, not a person. Whenever Megan stumbled, the family bent around her like a shield. Missed work, late rent, another breakup, each one became a reason for grace. "She's fragile," Mom whispered. "You're strong." As if strength was a sentence. As if being dependable meant I didn't bleed. Dad called the fund our family safety net, but it wasn't ours. It was mine. His paychecks came late. His card declined twice one summer, and somehow the blame landed on me. "You set the auto pay wrong," he said, scrolling through his phone like an auditor. He didn't see the irony my life reduced to fixing the mistakes of people who never fixed anything. Then there was Aunt Carol, the moral compass nobody asked for. She never sent money, but always sent opinions. "Families don't need receipts to love each other," she said once when I mentioned tracking expenses. I wanted to ask why love always arrived with invoices then, but I didn't. I'd learned that questioning meant ungratefulness. Megan's texts became demands disguised as updates. Cars making that noise again. Therapist's new rate kicked in. Just until next week. I sent the transfers automatically, fingers numb to the rhythm. Every payment was a small surrender. When I earned a promotion director after 7 years of being the last to leave the office, I called home proud for once. Dad answered mid-dinner. I could hear forks clinking laughter in the background. "That's great, honey," he said. "Listen, about Megan's lease, she doesn't feel safe there anymore. Could you check what it costs to move her somewhere better?" The silence that followed was heavier than any insult. I stopped celebrating after that. Success became useless currency in a house that only traded in crisis. Aunt Carol started using phrases like, "You know how blessed you are, Valentina. Blessing in our family meant you can afford it, so you should." She called me the practical one, the rock. But rocks don't feel. They just bear weight until they crack. One night, Adrian saw me scrolling through bank statements and said, "You look like someone trying to solve a crime they didn't commit." I almost told him I was. The crime was dependence, and my fingerprints were everywhere. When Megan asked for $3,200 for a wellness retreat, I hesitated. It wasn't anger, it was exhaustion. I texted back, "Is that really necessary?" Minutes later, Dad replied, "Mental health is an emergency too." Mom added a heart emoji. Aunt Carol reacted with prayer hands. The chorus was complete. I didn't answer. I just stared at the messages the way you look at a wall you've been painting for years and finally noticed the cracks. That night, I closed the ledger without balancing it. The cursor blinked, waiting. For the first time, I didn't. The next morning, Megan posted a photo from brunch, smiling new nails captioned, "Healing looks good on me." The comments overflowed with hearts. None from me. I had started practicing silence, one unread message at a time. Somewhere between their gratitude and my exhaustion, the family stopped seeing me as a person. I was infrastructure reliable until I wasn't. And though I didn't know it yet, my silence had already started their collapse. The message that broke everything didn't come out of nowhere. It was rehearsed, long before it was sent. 2 days before it arrived, we had our monthly video call. Megan appeared first, framed by soft light and a candle labeled self-care. Mom joined next, wearing her sympathy like jewelry. Dad hovered in the background, half listening, half directing. Aunt Carol logged in last, pearls bright even through pixelation. It started civil, the way family ambushes do. Small talk, whether how's work. Then Megan sighed. "I just think Val's energy has been negative lately." Mom nodded. "You've been so tense, sweetheart. Maybe you need space." Space. That word again. It landed like a script cue. I watched their faces rearrange into concern. It was choreography, familiar and cruel. "I'm fine," I said quietly. "Just setting limits." Dad leaned forward. "Limits can sound harsh, honey. We're just worried." No one asked what they were worried about. They didn't need to. I was the variable they couldn't control anymore. When the call ended, my screen went black and my reflection stared back, still expressionless. I'd stopped reacting months ago. 2 days later at 7:42 p.m., my phone buzzed on the counter. "Group message, family. We've discussed it," Mom wrote, "and we think it's best if you take a step back for now." My father's name appeared underneath, confirming it wasn't a mistake. Then Aunt Carol's reaction, thumbs up. That emoji hit harder than any word could. It wasn't just agreement, it was dismissal with a smile. The microwave beeped behind me. Leftover curry steamed under plastic wrap. The smell was sharp metallic. I stood there, the screen lighting my hands. I read the sentence 3 times as if it might rewrite itself. I didn't call, didn't ask who he was, didn't ask what step back meant. The phrase was clean, rehearsed, bloodless. It was exile disguised as concern. I typed one line, "Understood. I'll respect that and step away from the family fund, too." My thumb hovered, then pressed send. The tiny whoosh of the message leaving was quieter than I expected. Silence followed. No reply, no explanation. Just the stillness of something finished. I set the phone down, turned off the microwave, poured the curry into the sink, and let the water run until the steam vanished. At 3:11 a.m., my phone began to vibrate again, once, twice, then endlessly. Unknown numbers, blocked calls, voicemails stacking like debris. I didn't answer. The apartment glowed with blue light pulsing against the ceiling. By sunrise, there were 89 missed calls. Mom's voice on one, shaky, tearful. Valentina, this isn't what we meant. You didn't have to please the prescription's dads on another angry defensive. The bank flagged everything. What did you do? Megan's came last, desperate. You're cruel. You know I need that money. Why would you? I didn't respond. I made coffee instead. By noon, I'd written one note on a scrap of paper. No more emergencies without paperwork. Then I underlined it twice. Aunt Carol texted mid-afternoon. Families need grace, Val. Grace to them was my silence funded by my salary. I looked at her message then at the quiet apartment around me. The fridge hummed. The coffee had gone cold, and for the first time in years I felt something close to peace, small, unfamiliar, but real. Because for once, I wasn't the one holding everything together, and somewhere between the sound of the faucet and the quiet of my phone, I knew they hadn't exiled me. I'd already left. That night I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table, the only light coming from my laptop screen. It cast everything in a pale glow, clean, surgical. The same light I'd used for years to keep them afloat. I opened the folder marked Family Fund. Rows of numbers blinked back at me, dates, balances, automatic payments waiting for approval. It looked less like a lifeline now and more like a leash. One by one, I began shutting things down. Auto pay off, shared logins revoked, linked accounts removed. Each click sounded final, like small locks sliding shut. The pharmacy utilities insurance all unhooked, the family's lifelines unwound quietly line by line. When I reached the end of the list, I hesitated. Then I opened a new document records. Every receipt, every transfer, every message that began with just this once. I compiled them into neat columns because clarity was its own kind of revenge. The next morning, I called the bank. Yes, I told the woman on the line, I'm the account holder. I need to close the family fund entirely. She confirmed my identity twice, her voice polite but wary. Are you sure you want to proceed? I looked around my apartment, bare walls, half-drunk coffee piece. Yes, I said, completely sure. When I hung up, I made another call to the small law firm where a friend worked. Hypothetically, I asked what protection does someone have if family members try to use their name for credit or loans? The pause that followed was long enough to confirm my suspicion. Send me what you have, he said. We'll keep it quiet. By noon, the alerts started. New login attempt detected. Unrecognized device. Denied, denied, denied. I blocked the numbers before they reached me. Adrian came over that evening. He didn't ask if I was okay. He looked at the open spreadsheet and said, You finally did it, didn't you? I just turned off the lights, I said. He nodded quiet, then let them learn to see in the dark. By the second day, the messages shifted tone. Dad, you've gone too far. Fix this. Aunt Carol, be the bigger person. Mom, you don't understand what you've done. They all said the same thing, undo it. But I couldn't undo what they'd never owned. Instead, I documented everything. Screenshots, timestamps, statements. I sent copies to my lawyer friend and to myself under an alias. Not as threats, just records. A history of unpaid debts disguised as love. That afternoon, the bank called again. There was an attempt to open a small business account under your name. We flagged it for verification. My stomach turned cold. Under my name, yes, ma'am. Something called Kenyon Family Wellness. The paperwork lists your parents as co-signers. I exhaled slowly. Please, freeze it. Permanently. It wasn't rage I felt. It was confirmation. Proof that when you stop being a resource, they try to rebuild you into one. By evening, I had every file stored, every account untangled, every document printed and sealed. I placed the stack on my desk, a quiet monument to boundaries finally enforced. Then I opened a new page and wrote 3 lines, everything must be traceable. Love is not an expense line. Silence is policy. At midnight, I received one last voicemail from Dad. His voice was smaller than I'd ever heard. Val, what did you do? I didn't answer. Because he already knew. I leaned back, watched the city lights blink beyond my window, and realized revenge wasn't loud. It was paperwork. It was precision. It was the quiet sound of everything snapping back into balance. And as the last email arrived, subject line account closed, I finally exhaled. For the first time in 5 years, nothing depended on me. A year passed quietly. No more 3 a.m. calls, no overdraft alerts, no pleading voicemails disguised as love. The silence that used to terrify me had become my atmosphere. I moved cities, no forwarding address, no shared accounts. My new apartment was small, all white walls and tall windows that let in honest light. Some mornings I still woke early expecting another emergency. But nothing came. Just the hum of the fridge and the soft drip of coffee into a clean cup. Adrian visited one evening with takeout. "Feels different here," he said, glancing around. "It's supposed to," I replied. "Nothing in this place belongs to anyone else." We ate in quiet, the kind that didn't ache. He raised a glass. "To boundaries." I clinked it softly. "To peace." Weeks later, an email arrived from Megan. "I'm in therapy now. I know you won't reply, but I wanted to say I'm sorry." Attached was a photo of a small apartment bare, but hers. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. That was my version of grace. Christmas came and went. A photo from Mom appeared in my inbox, 3 of them by the tree faces drawn, but still posing. Beneath it, "We miss you." I closed the email and went back to my dinner, because missing me wasn't the same as respecting me. That night, I stepped onto the balcony city lights, blinking like small promises below. The air was cold still. I thought of that rainy night years ago, the phone call that began it all. Then I smiled, faint and steady. Some debts are never repaid, only released. Boundaries aren't revenge. They're instructions for how to love me correctly, or not at all. I used to think silence was punishment, but it's just peace without permission. And when people say family will always have your back, they forget some of us were born to grow wings instead.